By all rights, Kashmir, this area on the edge of the Himalayas, a place known for its stark natural beauty, its amazing scenery, its wildlife, its secludedness, and yet its interconnectedness with the rest of Southwest Asia. This area really should be a hub of economic activity, of tourism, of everything good about the world. And yet it's desolate and ruinous and has been that way for 70 years. And the question is, how has it gotten here? How has it gotten to a place where it's talked about in the news and not in postcards?
The Middle East and South Asia have, over the years, generated conflict between opposing nations and ethnic groups. One of these conflicts is the fighting between India and Pakistan over the territory of Kashmir. As in many conflicts of the 20th century and beyond, much of the instability is caused by the dismantling of local culture and authority under British rule, which ceased in 1947 and left behind a relative power vacuum. The colonials had treated the entire subcontinent as a province, showing disregard for the locals who belonged to their own religious and ethnic groups and yet were united under one banner, the Union Jack. There are two main religions in the region, each of which established nations in the formerly British land. The Hindus remained in their homeland, which is India, and the Muslims claimed lands to the northwest, which have become modern Pakistan. And yet, since the beginning, these states have disagreed over who controls the multicultural and geographically crucial region of Kashmir. There are several parts of Kashmir, some owned by India, some owned by Pakistan, and some owned by the neighboring China. India owns areas including the state of Jammu, Pakistan owns Gilgit-Baltistan, and China owns the mountainous Aksai Chin region. However, all of the region technically belongs to India. In 1947, Maharaja Hari Singh, a prince in the region, ceded his territory to India in exchange for aid against an invading Pakistani army. However, the people under his dominion were mostly Muslim and disagreed with their Hindu ruler. The dissolution of the British Empire's colony had a condition of nations becoming Pakistani or Indian based on the majority religion of the residents. As a result, the Pakistani are not fighting against the right of India to own Kashmir today, but the right it had to acquire Kashmir 70 years ago. Kashmir was originally intended to be able to autonomously accede itself to whichever nation it wanted to. At this point, the region's people, after years of tension and war, want complete independence. This effort has been opposed by India and Pakistan at times, both citing the need to retain Kashmir for their country's interests. However, both nations have stated that they would be amiable to the autonomy of the region, but directly opposed the region falling into the other country's sphere of control. Pakistan considers the region to be part of their economic, cultural, and political lifeblood, and India claims Kashmir as an integral northern state. China is a very minor player, despite laying claim to a large percentage of the land because of the mountainous and relatively uninhabitable nature of Aksai Chin. This area is not considered to be part of Kashmir by China or its locals, and is generally seen as part of China under a 1963 agreement where Pakistan gave up their claim to that piece of Kashmir. There have been 3 wars fought over Kashmir, one in 1947, one in 1965, and the Kargil War of 1999. Most of the conflict has been suppressed by tense ceasefires, the last major one of which was signed very recently, in May of 2018. Kashmiris say that there hasn't been a fair election since the 1977 and 1983 elections, with the elections since being controlled by the Pakistani and the Indians, who are trying to vie for the political control of the region through its corrupt leadership. Both sides of this conflict have been reported to be in violation of human rights, with Pakistan to a lesser extent, both against the other army and against Kashmiris themselves.
One of the most recent issues in Kashmir is the assassination of Burhan Wani, an Islamic commander who is popular among local Kashmiris, in 2016 by Indian forces. This caused many protests to spring up around the entire region, which would later be known as the 2016 Kashmir Unrest. The largest protest was an attack on the Indian Army base in Uri by Kashmiri militants in September 2016. This caused Indian troops to lead retaliatory surgical strikes on areas in which the Kashmiri militants were operating out of. These military strikes only worsened the relations between Pakistan and India, causing a ban of Pakistani media in India and a ban of Indian media in Pakistan. The operation to kill Wani and the strikes on Kashmiri militants caused the LOC to be reopened, and 2017 was reported to be the most violent year in Kashmir since 2003. The line of control, or the LOC, is the border between the Pakistan-controlled and Indian-controlled Kashmir. There has been another ceasefire declared on Tuesday, May 29, 2018, that will be implemented in the next few months. Pakistan reported 1,970 ceasefire violations, while India reported 970 in 2017, and 2018 was on track to become even more violent with over 1,000 violations reported already. It has been reported that Kashmiri militants are being funded by Pakistan. The most recent large-scale protest was a shutdown of businesses when the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, visited Kashmir in May 2018. He later inaugurated a new hydroelectric power plant that Pakistan called a violation of the 1960 Indus Water Treaty, which allowed all parties to have equal share of the water in Kashmir. Both parties have contributed to the problem, a conflict that has taken thousands of lives and 70 years of border struggles. However, this is resolved. Whoever wins or loses a peaceful resolution to the wars over Kashmir would serve as a beacon of hope in international diplomacy and a roadmap for finding peaceful resolutions to religious and political strife around the world.
Grab your controllers, Williamsburg, because it's time for Game Sharky. I'm your host, Jim Sharkey, bringing you the rundown on all the hottest games and technology news.
No way this is... Oh my God!
Time to see where our curiosity will take us.
July 6, 2018, with the introduction of yet another very, very important character for the first time into the MCU.